guys. All right, so I'm just gonna jump straight into this. As a baby, I was adopted into a Christian home. My biological parents were 17 and 18 when they had me. Um, and I grew up in a private Christian school. I had loving parents, so my childhood was really easy. I never had that many hardships and everything. And then junior high came, and in 8th grade, I met this girl, and I fell in love with her. She was practically my everything, and I lived and breathed her a lot more so than God. Um, I became a lot closer to her, and I put a lot more time into her than I did into the Lord, which kind of set me on an unsteady foundation for high school. And then at the end of my 8th grade year, my dad was diagnosed with melanoma skin cancer. And I didn't realize how serious it was because, he was like my dad. What could stop him? I didn't think anything could really hurt him. So my mom would always bring it up sometimes, and she would cry about it when she was talking to me, and I would always tell her, like, it's okay. He's going to be fine. God's going to pull Dad through this. But at the beginning of my freshman year, in November, my dad was having really bad migraines, and my mom took him to the ER one day, and they found a big tumor growing on his brain, and that made things a lot worse. But in my mind, a naive kid, I still didn't think anything was going to happen to him. I thought he was going to be fine. The doctors gave him 6 months, and that's kind of when it hit home for me, and I realized maybe my dad's not unstoppable. But little did I know or anybody else, the cancer that he had was so aggressive. It was 2 weeks after we found the brain tumor. The cancer was progressing extremely fastly throughout his body, and he had tumors everywhere. And it was a Thursday night. Like, he was on hospice, so he was at home in a hospital bed, and it got to the point where he couldn't walk or eat. He was just laying there. He couldn't talk. But the nurses told my mom that, it was close. He was going to pass away soon. So my mom comes upstairs to get me from my room, and we come downstairs. And he passed away, but he was in loving company with myself, my mom. We had some family friends and some family around us. So, God was taking care of us. But as a kid, I was 14, but I didn't really know how to handle this at all. And I wasn't close with God at all. Like I said, I had this girl, and she was mostly how I dealt with any of my problems. So I actually got further away from God, and I wasn't focusing on him at all. Instead of going to him, I went to alcohol, and I was drinking a lot, and I was hanging out with the wrong people. I was hanging out with the friends that didn't really have a lot of morals either, and they were already up for doing that kind of stuff. So I was going down that path, and it wasn't going well. So I get through my freshman year, and my pain just keeps getting less and less. I think I'm getting over it, but it's just being numb because I keep pushing it down, and I don't really think about it or talk about it much. So I go through my freshman year, and throughout my sophomore and my junior year, my walk with God never really got better. I would have a lot of ups and downs throughout all of it. And I was also on and off with this girl a lot. So those 2 years went by, and not much really happened. It was just high school. But then my senior year comes along, and this girl and I weren't together anymore for my senior year. So my attitude towards this year that I've been having was, I'm just going to live it to the fullest. Like, I'm going to take advantage of every moment. I want to live it for myself and have as much fun as I can, because I'm going to a private college, so I can worry about God after high school. I don't need to think about that now. Um, so I started smoking my senior year, and that was not profitable at all, and I know that now. But throughout my senior year, I was just living extremely selfishly. I was hanging out with the wrong people. And I knew I was sinning the whole time and I was living in sin, but at this point, I just didn't really care much. I just kind of pushed the Holy Spirit away, and I was like, whatever, I can deal with the circumstances later, or the consequences. And then this year in February, I had an amazing opportunity to go to Israel with my mom and the church that we go to in Temecula on Sundays. We were there for 2 weeks, and it was an amazing trip. I knew that my whole senior year I haven't really been living the way that God would want me to, and I just feel like I just felt so empty inside. I knew that I needed to change and that I can't put God off any longer. And I can't wait to be close with him. So I was praying a lot that God would really speak to me when I was in Israel for 2 weeks, and he would change my heart, and he did. The trip was able to give me a lot of perspective on my life and how I've been living the last couple years. And I was able to be baptized in the Jordan River, which was unbelievable. And that is just when it really hit me. We were so emotional. Like, I didn't actually cry when I was baptized, but I cried when I saw my mom get baptized. And I just realized, like, I know if my dad was still here, he wouldn't have been proud of the way that I've been living and treating some of the people around me. So I get back from Israel, and I know that, like, I finally feel I have my life on the right track, and I know I want to get closer to God, and it's real this time. It's not like all the other times when I was like, I'm going to get closer to God. It would last for a couple weeks, and then I'd be doing whatever other stuff I was doing. And God really spoke to me, and all the guilt and regret from this whole year kind of flooded back in, and I realized that I lost the one girl that I loved, and having her already throughout the 4 years, it was really hard to just focus on God and only use him as my foundation and my stability, because, I mean, through all the big life-changing things I've gone through in my life, you know, I always had her. But the Lord closed that door right now in my life, and I think it's because he's really showing me that I can't always depend on any person to help me through life. And I think he's been jealous, honestly, because I haven't really given him that time that he deserves from my life. So really in the past month, he's been speaking to me a lot, just wanting me to get closer to him, and I've been hanging out with the right people. I've been finally actually getting into the Word and studying and taking the right steps. So I have some verses I want to share with you guys. The first verse is Psalm 18, verse 2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. The second verse is Psalm 55, verse 22. And it says, cast your burden on the Lord, and he shall sustain you. He shall never permit the righteous to be moved. And I picked these verses because I had to learn these lessons the hard way, and I mean really hard. I've been stubborn a lot with the Lord. And I just want you guys to know that no matter what you're going through, it could seem like the hardest situation in your life that you've ever had to deal with. Just know that he will always be there for you, and he is your rock when it feels like you're alone. And he's here for you guys. And if you're, whatever pain you have or suffering, just know you guys can go to the cross and lay it at his feet. And I mean, it takes time to get through pain. and when you're really hurt, but the Lord will help you through it, and you guys will be amazed if you just have patience with God and give him the time that he deserves. He will take care of you like you can't even imagine. And that's it.